What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into another video. Definitely do me a huge favor, smack up that like button and subscribe for more Arizona Cardinals content. On this channel, we're covering the Arizona Cardinals news, breaking news, conversational pieces, everything surrounding your favorite team. So subscribe it up. It's absolutely for free. But today, we're going to be doing a recap of the 2025 Arizona Cardinals free agent class, the guys that the Cardinals decided to bring back, and the new Arizona Cardinals for the 2025 season as well, right? We're going to break them down as well as assign a overall grade to Monty Ossenfort in his year 3 and what he's done so far. But first things first, I want to give a shout out here to the sponsors of the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube, which we went ahead and collaborated about, potentially giving or actually giving a jersey away, which is going to be announced later on this month. So you might be walking away with a brand new Marvin Harrison Jr. jersey if you do win. More on Myvalleyprints a little later on. So let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go and talk about who the Arizona Cardinals decided to bring back first, right? Now, a couple people that I want to dive into before we get to this list is I guess, shocks, right? Because Zaire White is probably the biggest shock to me in terms of why he didn't come back in 2025. But it almost kind of seemed like the writing was in the wall, right? The post that he posted on Instagram, as well as the getting a brand new sports agency, I do feel like the value just wasn't met. And who knows, right? Maybe when days or more days go by, more waves of free agency goes by, maybe the Cardinals could potentially bring him back if they want to. But I don't know. I feel like the Cardinals did go back-to-back linebackers, and I don't know. It almost kind of feels like, yeah, I don't know, they're parting ways, right? And then Will Hernandez is another guy out there as well, where there's a lot of portion of Cardinal fans that would love to bring him back because when he was healthy, he was a reliable guard for the Arizona Cardinals. But I don't know what it seems to me in terms of what it's trending like. It feels like the Cardinals are going to give the opportunity to third-round pick in the 2024 NFL draft, and that's going to be none other than Isaiah Adams. So I don't know. That's what it kind of feels like to me, but we'll have to kind of wait and see what the Arizona Cardinals decide to do as the more days go by and all the waves of free agency, continues to keep ticking, right? So let's talk about the free agent tracker, the guys that the Cardinals decided to bring back from the 2024 season now into the 2025 season. And let's first start off here with Aaron Brewer, which obviously is no shock. He's been with the Arizona Cardinals for quite some time as their long snapper, and you need a long snapper, right? So Cardinals decided to bring him back. Another guy that the Cardinals brought back, which was a little bit of a shock to me. I guess the price tag was more of a shock to me in terms of, you know, either he came back or he didn't. It was more like what the Cardinals paid him. It was a 1-year deal, $4.4 million, if I can remember correctly. Zay Jones is now coming back as a wide receiver. And honestly, it's kind of to the point where Zay Jones, I know he was suspended for the first 5 games of the 2024 season, and the Cardinals said that they were fully aware of the suspension before they even signed him. They probably just liked his leadership. They probably liked, who he is in the locker room, and being the fact that he's probably a team guy and not an eye guy. So obviously the Cardinals really, really value the fact that they're looking for a very specific type of player. And this might be the player that the Cardinals really want to bring back. And obviously they did on a 1-year deal. So Zay Jones is now coming back to the Cardinals. And the next guy is Greg Dortch, which I've been very high on Greg Dortch. And I really, really like Greg Dortch. In the end of the 2023 season, it almost kind of or it felt like the connection between him and Kyler Murray was like, oh man, it was going to blossom into something fantastic, right? Now, granted, in the 2024 season, we got Marvin Harrison Jr., so roles changed, but I don't know, I almost kind of feel like Greg Dortch really didn't get a fair crack or a fair opportunity, and I don't know, there was just a lot of yuckiness, I guess the best way to describe it, with the passing game, with the exception of obviously Trey McBride. There was just not a lot of consistency with the wide receiving core in general. So Greg Dortch comes back on a 1-year deal, and I think it came out to like 3.28, something like that. So very cheap deal. Honestly, I'm surprised that the Cardinals are bringing back the same wide receiving core and trying to run it back. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cardinals actually draft a wide receiver in the 2025 NFL draft, which I'm actually on board with. We'll just have to kind of wait and see if it's a first round, second rounder, or a third rounder. But I'm really excited to see what the Cardinals do with the wide receiving core. Next guy that I want to talk about is Baron Browning. Was a 2-year deal, like $15 million, if I can remember correctly. Baron Browning comes back. He was a late acquisition for the Arizona Cardinals in the trade deadline in 2024. And it makes sense. If you're going to give up a draft pick and you really do like him in the locker room and you feel like he's just hitting his stride. I believe he actually amounted to like 2 sacks, and he was productive for the Cardinals, right? In terms of that small sample size after the trade deadline. So the Cardinals liked him. They wanted to bring him back, and that's exactly what they did. So I'm not mad at it. Let's see exactly what happens in that rotation. Next guy is going to be none other than LJ Collier, and he was a former first round pick to the Seattle Seahawks. Didn't work with them. Cardinals brought him in. He dealt with some injuries here and there, but he was pretty solid. I guess the best way to describe it is in the 2024 season, and it's a small deal as well. Like none of these guys really kind of broke the bank for the Cardinals. I guess the biggest contract is probably going to be that Baron Browning contract, if I'm going to be honest. But LJ Collier coming back as well, and then Evan Brown, which I think Evan Brown was actually pretty solid at guard for the Cardinals. Like the signing of Evan Brown was kind of like meh, right, in the offseason of 2024, but he's actually shown his worth. He's done really, really good, and he deserved the extension, or at least the re-upping of his contract to play with the Cardinals. So I do like the Evan Brown uh, come back to the Cardinals in 2025. Next guy is going to be Kelvin Beachum. He did a very good job to step in the role for Jonah Williams. What it feels like is Jonah Williams is going to have a big, crucial part as long as he can stay healthy at that right tackle position for the Cardinals, is what it feels like. But you bring a guy like Kelvin Beachum, is a very, very solid backup, a very, very good player, a good locker room veteran guy. So I'm not mad at it. Kelvin Beachum coming back as well on a small deal. And then Joey Blunt. Joey Blunt, honestly, great special teamer. Like he doesn't get a lot of love. He doesn't get a lot of recognition, but in special teams, this guy is done very, very good things. You've seen him here and there on the defensive side of the ball, but special teams is where he really, really shines. And obviously the biggest, I guess, trend that you're seeing with the guys that the Cardinals decided to bring back, they're small deals. Like none of them exceed more than 2 years. Very minimal type of deals. And then they're bringing back very, very big, crucial big pieces that they feel like are good players to have in your locker room, right? So special teamers, maybe third or fourth string type of guys, rotational pieces. Those are the type of guys that the Cardinals decided to bring back. And honestly, you need them, right? You need them on your final 53. So I'm not mad at it at all. So let's talk about the newly the newly acquired players from the Cardinals. And these are the big ones, right? Obviously, we're going to start off here with Josh Sweat. Cardinals had a home run, man, a home run when they ended up bringing Josh Sweat. Now there was rumors out there that we were in Milton Williams. The moment we lost it, in terms of we got outbid by the Patriots, Cardinals went all in on Josh Sweat, and the deal just made sense. And you even heard Josh Sweat come out and say that the situation was perfect, coming back with Jonathan Gannon. And on top of that, the money was right. So it was a no-brainer for him to come to the Arizona Cardinals. And honestly, at the end of the day, this was the best move the Cardinals absolutely should have made. And I'm actually really excited to see what he's going to do in the 2025 season, because we actually got somebody that's going to be able to, the rush the passer in a consistent basis. So I'm excited to see what Josh Sweat's going to do with his defensive line with obviously Nick Rallis and Jonathan Gannon as well. So huge pickup there for the Cardinals. And the next guy the Cardinals ended up bringing in was Akeem Davis Gaither, which at the moment I was like, okay, what a pretty weird signing, but I heard a couple of interviews from him. Seems very confident. Seems like a guy that has played special teams, but obviously, I believe was a captain for the Bengals at one point. And honestly, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. He might be the guy that's going to be stepping into the role of a middle linebacker for the Cardinals. And this is kind of one of those moves where I still remember when Kazir White was signed. I kind of felt the same way, where I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, that's a cool side, but he proved, right? He proved his worth, his physicality, what he brought. Obviously, Monty also sees something in Akeem. So I'm all in. I'm willing to see exactly what he does for the Arizona Cardinals defense. Excited to see what he's going to do. Next thing, the Cardinals ended up bringing a QB2, or at least somebody that's going to be able to compete with Clayton Tune for that QB2 role. But I do think that you're not going to bring in a guy like Jacoby Brissett, which has proven that he can win games and provide the contract that you did, if he's not going to be QB2, right? There's going to be a competition per se, right, for the quarterback 2 role, but I do think it's going to be Jacoby Brissett's job to lose at the end of the day. So excited to bring him in. I think he's going to be a very, very good backup quarterback for Kyler. Kyler was fortunately he was fortunately able to stay healthy in 2024, but we know that there has been injuries from Kyler Murray's career in the past. So I love the Jacoby Brissett signing. And then the Cardinals, big swing. I did say that I want the Cardinals to make at least 2 or 3 big swings this year. Josh Sweat was one of them, and then Dalvin Tomlinson was the next as well. So that was a 2-year deal, $29 million. So the big, expensive price tag guys, Josh Sweat and Dalvin Tomlinson. And I do believe the Cardinals absolutely killed it in free agency to address the biggest hole that they had was we weren't able to provide consistent pressure to the opposing quarterback at all. So you bring in two pieces like Dalvin Tomlinson and Josh Sweat. It's amazing, man. It's amazing. And it doesn't stop there. Maybe the Cardinals add more talent in the draft. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's just Dalvin just brings a level of he eats up space, man. He's such a big guy. He eats up space, and he's probably the best interior defensive lineman we got on this on this roster. I'm not even gonna lie to you. So I'm excited to see what he's gonna do for the Cardinals moving forward. Then we move on over to the other linebacker, Mykal Walker, which don't really know too much about him as well. I know he spent some time with the Commanders as well as I believe he was drafted Atlanta Falcons. But honestly, I think at the end of the day, I'm just kind of waiting to see what they do, right? Either Akeem or Mykal Walker is probably going to take in the role of that middle linebacker. Maybe there might be a fair competition. Maybe it's going to be a rotational thing. We don't 100% know, but you know, I'm curious to figure out what Mykal Walker is going to do for the Cardinals. So next guy, very under the radar type of move. I didn't even know that the Cardinals actually brought in Jake Curran until like 24 hours after. And I was like, oh, snap, cool. We brought in some more offensive line help, right? But another thing, right? Another small, cheaper deal that the Cardinals ended up bringing in. I think this is going to be more of a depth piece, if I'm going to be honest with you. And then after Jake Curran, the last move that was made was wide receiver Simi Fehoko. So when I originally posted the graphic, it's funny because everybody had that same idea, right? Because he was a former Charger, right? And everybody said the same thing. Oh, wrong Charger. You signed the wrong Charger. If you guys do not know, the Arizona Cardinals did meet with on a private workout with cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. And nothing really kind of came about that, right? It just kind of seemed like, okay, well, they worked out with each other, but nothing really kind of came about that. But Cardinals did sign Simi Fehoko, and he seems pretty confident that he's going to have some sort of role, or at least fight for a role in training camp. And I'm curious to figure out what he's going to do. I know he was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys, and then he ended up moving on over to the Chargers, and not really much a big impact. But overall, another small deal for the Cardinals as well. Nothing really big impactful when it comes down to Simi. But, you never know. He could very well surprise the Arizona Cardinals fan base, and hopefully can provide us some level of spark. But I'm not mad that the Cardinals are bringing in another wide receiver. Like I said before, I'm actually kind of shocked that we actually brought back both Zay and Greg, but they want to run it back and maybe draft somebody in the draft as well. I'm in on that as well. So what the Cardinals definitely did in this free agency class, definitely free agency heavy. Definitely free agency heavy, right? Because you got Jacoby Brissett, which is QB2, and then Simi Fehoko. Like, I don't see any of those guys being starters. Like, I'm going to be real here. I don't see them being starters. Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, potentially Mykal or Akeem. Definitely starters for the Cardinals. Like, we went in on the defensive side of the ball. So I think Monty Ossenfort did a good job. I really do. Overall grade I would give to Monty Ossenfort, B. Absolutely B. Like, I flirted around with the potential B+, but I'm going to give him a solid B. I think he did a fantastic job. Now, please also keep in mind last year and obviously the year before in free agency alone, I'm not talking about the draft, I would probably give Monty last year a C. I'm going to be real. So this is a step in the right direction for Monty Ossenfort. He actually did a really good job. And some might say, probably one of the best moves that any team in the NFL has done, right? Obviously, the Vikings and the Bears are probably one free agency. But for what the Cardinals have done with the big key pieces, big needs, I feel like they addressed those exact holes, and they did a fantastic job at it. I really do. So overall grade, I give Monty Ossenfort in his year 3 an absolute solid B. Overall, I'm excited to see what the NFL draft's going to look like. Can the Cardinals sign more players? Absolutely. They definitely can, right? More and more waves that go by in free agency, that means that these other players are just going to be cheaper and cheaper. So we'll have to kind of wait and see how it all shakes out. But ladies and gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts here in the free agency class for the Arizona Cardinals? Who was your favorite acquisition? Let me know in the comments below. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day, and go Cardinals.